Welcome to Whiskey Band Reviews. I'm Eric.
And I'm Josh.
Today we have some Irish whiskey. We have Powers John's Lane release. This is a 12-year, not our area of expertise, but we're going to give it a go.
So let's drink on that.
All right, Josh, so I finally got through the intro after like 5 takes, but we have an Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little outside our realm, but from some of the things that we've seen online about this, it's actually supposed to be a pretty solid product, even in kind of the bourbon world a little bit. So I'm pretty excited to get in and try this one.
Yeah. I've not had too many Irish whiskeys. I was like, you know what? I need to throw an Irish whiskey somewhere on this bar. So
Broaden our horizon a little bit. So
yeah, so through a little bit of research, I was like, what's something I can buy that's not Jameson or something just super simple? And this is kind of what I came across as far as availability in our area. You want to unleash that beast?
sure.
So what do we got going on here? It comes in a nice little box.
Yeah. Very cool box.
Yeah.
I always like, a little extra on the packaging. It always adds a little flair to it.
Darker than I expected.
It is quite dark. A lot darker than a lot of Irish whiskeys I've seen.
Yeah.
I guess that comes from the 12 years, potentially. Some embedded, I guess that's supposed to be doves up here on the glass. Pretty cool. I like the bottle.
Potentially. So this comes from Middleton Distillery, I think. And also from the same parent company as Jameson, but I think that's probably like a Brown-Forman situation, owning a bunch of different bourbon companies. I think they own several. So kind of their own thing.
Get a little treasure map in here. Alfred Bernard's account of John's Lane Distillery, Dublin, 1886. So, guess you get a little added bonus in here, a little account of an 1886 visit to said distillery.
That's pretty cool. That map's cool. I think MSRP, this is supposed to be around the $60, $65. I don't recall. I think I paid like $68.99 for it or something like that. So it's not a cheap one, but not one of the most expensive things you can get. But definitely it's not one of the $30 bottles, which they have one of. Powers has a $30 bottle. And they have another John's Lane that's not this one that's also cheaper.
Okay.
So I think John's Lane is just a reference to literally their address. Yeah, because this is one that we're gonna not be bringing the most knowledge to.
Absolutely
Not that we
not.
ever do, but Irish whiskey not our thing, and this brand, honestly, I hadn't heard of until I started looking through some stuff, and again, just not something that a lot of people drink in this area because we have such an abundance of Kentucky bourbon. So I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to try this. Okay. Decent
All right.
little cork pop there.
That's long. Look at that.
That's what she said. That is quite impressive.
That is what she said.
Packaging
So I'm enjoying the packaging.
Yeah.
I think that's an A.
is definitely an A. I like the bottle.
This does not smell like bourbon.
No.
Should have some notes of bourbon though, right? Because from what we understand, all Irish and Scotch barrels are not going to be their own. They're going to be reused, and most of them from either bourbon or wine places. And from what we read about this one is that it's made up of bourbon and sherry casks, and it said like the majority of them is bourbon, so we should get some bourbon notes out of there.
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of some honey, a little bit almost chocolatey to me, kind of like a Tootsie Roll or something along that line.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely a sense of some sort of chocolate in there for sure. Probably tobacco. I think it's
Yeah.
like tobacco leaf. Like
I think probably the most prominent thing for me out of it is honey. I get a lot of that kind of
yeah,
scent out of it. It's pretty pleasant.
it is not a lot of proof off the nose. It's sweet. It really hits you with the sweet.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, kind of honey, a little vanilla-ish.
Mm-hmm.
It does have that woody aspect of it, but it's not super forward yet.
No.
Maybe after we get a drink.
I don't think it's super forward either. It feels like it's got quite a few different notes going with it. Fairly complex.
You know, I'm really hung up on the tobacco and, like you said, Tootsie Roll.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it smells like chocolate.
Yeah,
Sure.
I definitely get the chocolate out of it, and it's not to me just like some kind of like chocolate bar, anything like that. It's more along the lines of like I said, like Tootsie Roll kind of scent. It's clinging to the glass a little bit. It doesn't seem to have, the most prominent legs or anything like that going on with it, but it's got some cling to it in the glass here. So
Yeah, the color holds about the same as the bottle. I would say it's kind of like a medium golden kind of amber looking.
yeah, all right, ready to dive in?
Let's do it. Huh.
Interesting.
That's warmer than I expected.
Yeah.
What do you got on the proof?
Golly. I have no idea. 92?
It's 92.
Is it?
Yeah. He seriously did not know that. That's accuracy.
That's pretty solid.
It's warm.
It's definitely warmer than that. I was just kind of trying to base it on the fact that it is Irish whiskey. But it felt like it maybe had a little bit more to it than...
Yeah, that's got a nice warmth to it. I can't get by that. That's and it's quick.
It's right up front.
It's not a hug. Like it's instant warm.
Almost immediate.
Yeah, which makes it kind of hard to get any flavor profile out of it, honestly.
I know this is a generic term to throw around when you start talking about whiskey, and it's not necessarily what you want to say, but it's very smooth after the fact.
Yeah.
That warmth kind of dissipates pretty quick, and it just gives you a pretty easy drink. I could definitely see the appeal of having something like this, because you get a little bit of kind of the bourbon profile, a little bit of the warmth there, but also just that easy drink of an Irish whiskey.
As with the nose, I'm getting a lot of honey on it, and
maybe almost
a bit
like,
fruity.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Maybe almost like a dark fruit, almost like cherry.
Yeah, interesting, like sweet note to go along with the honey, and that's pretty forward. But then for me, after, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds later, I'm still getting like the tingling on the tongue. So it doesn't fully go away, but it does just enough, because then your mind starts to get into the flavors, but then it hangs out. I think it's a pretty long finish on it.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think it's got a little bit of that kind of slow burn characteristic to it, because, it's right off the bat, you get it. And like I said, it kind of breaks away a little bit, but it seems like you give it 20 seconds or so and it kind of just starts to come back. Just give you a little bit more at the end. And I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, this is good. It's all on the tongue for me. All the heat's on the tongue. Like, I'm not really getting anything in kind of like a hug.
We've already said not necessarily our wheelhouse with Irish whiskey. I don't exactly know how broad of a price range they tend to operate in or anything like that. I'm sure it's about like anything, and you can get pretty extreme one way or the other, but I feel like for the price between $60, $70-ish also, this is quite a good product. This is one of the first times going in and trying an Irish whiskey that it's really piqued my interest into what else they can be.
Maybe just because I know, but it does have a little hint of that sherry cask in it too. But it's not too much. It's not like a sherry cask finished bourbon that is just like, that's too much. Why'd we do that?
Yeah.
It's pleasant, and that's good because if they're using like 80% bourbon barrels and then 20% sherry cask mixing all together for like a small batch or something like that, it seems pretty balanced. Mm-hmm. So we've never rated an Irish whiskey.
Yeah, so I'm kind of...
So this is the first one. So where do we go?
Going in a little blind on this rating scale, I guess we're going to do the same principal thing. It's just this is going to be for an Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would love to revisit this one once I had a little bit more Irish whiskey experience under my belt to see if it still holds up the way that I think it does. But as of now, I'm quite impressed with this one. I like this one quite a bit.
Me as well.
Man, I'm really torn on the score. I think I'm going to just stay where I'm at on this.
Me too. I could be convinced 0.3 higher.
Whose turn is it to go first?
I think me.
All right.
So like I said, I struggled with it. Started high, went much lower, and then kind of went in the middle. So I'm coming out with our first Irish whiskey. We will redo this, maybe.
I would love to redo this.
I've got
a
7.7.
Any additions, or you want me to go ahead and my score?
Yeah, let's see what you got.
Quite a bit higher.
Okay.
Just going to be honest. I'm at 8.4.
Wow.
Yeah. As you guys know, 8.0 is our go out and get it. Different animal than our normal whiskey scores. But at the same time, this thing had a lot going for it, in my eyes. Very pleasant nose. Pretty complex on the palate. That 92 proof on it goes a long way.
Yeah. I initially started off with a 7.9. Then I kind of talked myself out of it because we've not done any more of these, which I said isn't fair. It's getting a bad deal. But still, we're at an 8.05 for the scores, so that hits that go out and get it mark that we were looking for. And I'm glad you liked it because I was nervous about buying it. I was like, do I really want to spend money on this? Super glad that I did. I really like to have it and just to change things up a bit around here. And you could easily talk me into going higher. So I think 8.05 is pretty fair. Mm. The only thing for me, it just kind of, everything about it was good, and some aspects of it were pretty good, but there's nothing that just blew me away.
Okay.
And so when we start to get up to mid-8s, creeping up to a 9, like that's some uncharted territory that a lot of things don't get into, and especially anything of this proof. I don't know that we have anything that's a 92 proof, even this high, hardly above 8s. So
that's true.
I think it's pretty good.
That also is quite a good proof for an Irish whiskey at the same time. So.
It really is, yeah. As I said, I'm going low on it. I fully admit.
Understandable, too.
I'm glad yours is a lot higher than mine, so we can kind of get balanced down a little bit and come back to it.
Yeah. I completely understand all the points that you're making there.
I just couldn't help but keep coming back to thinking about bourbons. And, what's an 8.4 bourbon? It would be in the E.J. Curley that we gave it an 8.4. Is this as good as that? No. But is it the same thing? It's not. So can it really be compared? Yeah. I struggle with that. I fully admit I struggle with that because I think of all the bourbons that are ranked lower than this that I would prefer over this. So that I struggle with that a bit.
For sure.
Yeah. I could definitely take this bottle. Maybe not with just you, but a couple other guys sit around a campfire and kill this thing in a night. I mean, look the damage we've already done on it.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I had to get another pour.
It's great. I'm glad you like it. It makes me feel better about buying it. There's
do.
nothing worse than
I
buying
quite enjoy
something up in that range. That like, I don't know. This isn't it. It's above an 8.0, so it's something you need to seek out, add to your collection, especially if you're a bourbon person. Maybe start to explore a little bit. Like I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I can't do Scotch very much.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And it's so interesting. It's quite a journey from the nose to the palate to the finish, and just the overall experience of it. It's a journey, and I like that.
I do too, and I think my main points that I would like to leave on is kind of like I mentioned earlier. It gives you a little bit of best of the both worlds there between the Irish whiskey and the bourbons.
Yep.
And kind of revisit on the price point for what it is, as if it were a bourbon, would maybe fall a little short at that price range, but I feel like for an Irish whiskey at that price, giving you what it's giving you, I think it's pretty fair. Yeah. So I think that's something that it also has working in its favor.
If this is your world of things, I'm sorry.
Yeah, for sure. Constructive criticism welcome.
I don't mean to insult anything. I just don't know anything about it.
Exactly. So if you have any pointers on kind of where we can go from here in Irish whiskey, if this is your world, I mean, we'd love to hear that.
Yeah. Don't come at me with Scotch though. All right, that's all I got.
I think that's all I got.
All right, we'll catch you on the next one.
See you guys.
Irish whiskey, do you know anything about it? Because we don't. So, we're going to try to...
Was I supposed to go ahead and step in?
No, I don't know what to say.
Because I thought you were still going to introduce what it was.